Okay, so I wanted to address this because somebody was saying, how can you compare racism from dark skinned black people to white people from white people? Well, I want to explain this. Okay, so you're biracial, so you experience things very differently. It's different when you're trying to be accepted by a white family than when you are living life around white people. Also, other things matter too. Probably features, other things, okay, matter. In my experience, no. The main people who have called me the N word were dark skinned black people. And on top of it, to me, the way I see it is dark skinned black people, if you ask me in an honest opinion, are the most dangerous type of people when it comes to race. They are the most dangerous because they're going to call you racist names, make you feel bad about being black, and then turn around and try to play a victim card because they can always say you're racist. You know, I'm supposed to pretend this doesn't happen. It's the truth. I'm supposed to pretend that doesn't happen, but it's happened to me over and over and over again. And honestly, you guys try and act like this is a thing that you only do to white people, but it's not. It's not at all. In my experiences in my life, I remember I was trying to explain to a man what race was. Basically, I was trying to explain to him there's three races, right? There's Caucasoid, there's Negroid, and there is Mongoloid. Those are the three categories: Negroid, Caucasoid, and Mongoloid. Those are the original definitions of race, right? Well, I was trying to explain to him what racial category each one fit under, and I remember he got so mad, he was trying to call me the N word. He's a dark skinned black man. And I think I've shared this story before, and he eventually tried to say I called him the N word when I never did, but he kept trying to call me the N word. That's what dark skinned black people do. They are hateful to you because they hate blackness. That's the thing about dark skinned black people. They hate blackness more than any other person hates blackness. Dark skinned people hate it the most. And they see it through the most crooked, nastiest lens that ever existed. And then it makes it where you don't want to associate with them because you're toxic. Who wants to associate with people who are negative to their blackness, your blackness, and everybody's blackness and puts white people on a pedestal because that's what they're programmed to think? Nobody wants to associate with that. You could keep that to yourself, honestly. And so that's my perspective on that. It's just like, I don't think white people will call you the N word and then turn it around and say you called them the N word and that you're the one who's racist. Now, will they? No, they won't, because it's not believable, right? Nobody, even like white people, when they're presenting it to white people never think the dark skinned black person's going to call other black people the N word. They don't know that that's how it goes down. So they're not going to believe it. So they're basically cleared because people aren't going to believe that they are the ones using the N word and being racist to people lighter than them. Now, if I was to do the same thing, I'd get in trouble pretty quickly because the reason why is because people always claim the whole issue of colorism. They'll still understand that the dark-skinned black person's blackness is more respectable, more valid, more real than mine. And if that's the case, and I'm living in a society where you're going to use your privilege over me, why the fuck would I ever identify with you? I never understand that. Why would I ever align with you? Why would I ever try and uplift you? You're the one who's going to step your fucking foot on my neck, and then you're going to try and create negativity on my blackness because you don't like your blackness. you're going to be the person who basically is always crying racism and trying to put other black people in harm's way, trying to look at lighter skinned black people and hope that they experience racism from somebody else because, oh, it pleases them so much when a white person doesn't like someone who's lighter skinned because they're like, yes, you're one of us too. See, you deal with the same pain as me. See how it is? You wish and want and desire hate against black people who are lighter than you, right? Why would I want to associate with someone who wants to perpetuate racism themselves, encourages white people to perpetuate it, and also tries to depict you as a racist at the same dang time? See, white people aren't that powerful to do all that shit. If white people were to call me the N-word, which they haven't, in my experience, if they were to call me the N-word in real life, if in real life I saw a white person call me the N-word, they could just call me the N-word. That's it, right? It's not like they can turn the story around and say, no, I didn't use the N-word. It's not believable that I used the N-word. But she used the N-word to me because I am darker. You know, white people can't say that. They can't say that. This is why it's just so weird to me when you try and say that white people's hatred of black people is way worse than black people's. I have not even experienced white people being all that racist. If I do, it's like I said, towards other black people, not specifically me. The times when it's been racism is usually on the basis of being of Middle Eastern, North African descent. That's when I've ever gotten any racism for being black, basically. Or, I guess not black, but for being not white, you could say. So that's my thing. It's like, when black people are dealing with the people who are, I guess, the people they want to claim as black or want to join in their misery of blackness, because it's never joining in the celebration of blackness. It's never that. It's always joining in the misery of blackness. Like with North Africans and so forth, they will call you the N-word in order to try and prove that you are black. And it's so weird because it's like, you're a black person trying to use a racial slur against me. Why would I want to associate with black people? If you are standing in as a representation of black people, why would I want to associate with people who freaking hate me? If I was to look at the amount of hate I've gotten from white people and black people and base my identification on how much hate I've gotten from both sides, well, I would have to go with white people. And this is exactly why, for me, I am not very hateful towards white people on my channel. Sometimes I will say a few things when it comes to looks, but generally I'm not. Because the reason why I'm very defensive, and I don't really actually say anything about looks now that I think of it. Yeah, I really don't. That's more Asians, honestly. But bump here. Anyway, but based off of just hate and things of that nature, this is a major reason why you find with me, I'm not really the type to really go after white people like that. Like, I am a part of, I specifically came more from the golden sphere side of YouTube. This is why I make my channel. I know people don't like to address this, but my main reason for making my channel was specifically to address things that Chrissy would talk about, because I'm against Chrissy's arguments on colorism. I don't even think colorism exists. But another portion of why I made my YouTube channel also has to do with The whole situation of divestment, I associate with them very heavily. And you will find in the mammy sphere sectors of divestors, those who are not really divested but they claim to be, they will go after white women nonstop. This is a major reason why I'm not like that and I've spoken against that, because I have not experienced that kind of hate that they talk about with white women. Main people I experience hate from are black women. Black women are so very fucking hateful. It's crazy. Like, they are so hateful. I've had experiences. It's like I said, that wasn't the only experience where I was explaining the races to the man, and then he turns around, tries to call me the N word, and then tries to turn around and say that I called him the N word, told others that I called him the N word. That wasn't the only situation. There are other situations. This one was very important. I was roommates with a woman, and I talked about this in the past, actually. Um, back on a channel associated with Jessica X's channel, actually. Back on March date in 2020. But I spoke to them about this. I was specifically, I was roommates with 3 people. Okay, one person was a transsexual who was biracial, Pacific Islander and black, lighter skinned, much lighter skinned than me, the lightest in the house at the time. Then there was another girl, and she was like darker, but she was one of those brown skinned girls that try and say that at one point in their life they were my color or something. That's sometimes I get that response, and it's like, I don't know what to tell you, but you know, you're darker now, so I don't know. Like, it was when it was winter, she was still dark skinned, so but the point was she was more accepting, understanding, and actually aligned me with more black people than anything, you know. The thing was the third roommate. The third roommate was a lesbian. She was dark skinned, darker, the darkest skinned, I guess you could say. And she specifically would try to basically say that I was somehow mixed. One, she'd try and associate like my hair with being like softer curls and stuff. No, she couldn't see my hair texture because it was in braids, so she didn't know what my texture was. It all started with this one day when I specifically was like, I was using my phone or whatever. They knew I had a phone, and she and the other girl and the other one were having a conversation. But she was basically having a conversation with the other two, and they were basically talking about a specific skit or whatever that they wanted to see that was specifically like lesbian porn. And they asked to watch it on my phone, and I was like, of course, no. And I was like, ew. And it offended her because I guess maybe she had a thing or whatever. But it was weird anyway. I was like, the whole situation basically spiraled out because she was upset that I found like lesbian stuff to be gross. It's not like I don't like lesbian people. In fact, honestly, when it comes to lesbian people, I actually like lesbian people. It's just I don't really like what they do in the sense that I don't find it sexually appealing. Like, I don't like thinking of old 60-year-old women having sex either. That's gross to me too. Not to say that 60-year-old women are gross, it's just I don't like thinking of it. I don't like to think of 60-year-old men having sex either. That's gross too. You know what I mean? So I mean, like, I think a lot of things are gross. I don't want to think of it in the sense of watching it happen, you know. And anyway, so she was offended and upset. It spiraled out for a while, like days on end. She had an issue with the fact that I just personally not one of those people that finds lesbian activity to be my cup of tea, you know. I mean, I always find this weird. I never push gay porn on people. Like, that's my thing. I like gay men. I like gay men doing it to each other. I love watching it. I love watching the receptive person involved, especially. Um, like, imagining I'm the guy doing the man. Anyway, um, so I mean, I don't like get offended when men or women or anybody gets like acts like, oh, that's gross, because I've seen lots of people, heard plenty of people act like that's gross. Personally, to me, that's not gross. To me, it's something that's very, very appealing. And but to each his own. I'm not going to be upset about it. But anyway, during that time period when she was basically offended by it, it kind of rotted the whole situation of being roommates, basically. And through this whole experience, eventually, she got into this whole big argument where it started off about lesbians and stuff, like it was always, until the point when I went and told on her that I felt her behavior to be offensive. Then after that, she tried to act like, because I told my mother that night, I think, what I ate for dinner was fried chicken, that I must be racist. And the dark-skinned black Caribbean girl believed her. Even the light-skinned black man was taking up for her, because that's what light-skinned black people do. They always feel like they have to repudiate anyone having, like, them thinking that anyone has any sense of thinking lighter is better. They have to try and take the dark-skinned person's side to have them still not think negatively of them. Because what light-skinned black people do is they look for acceptance. They try their hardest to be accepted by people. They will put themselves under a bus in order to be accepted by a dark-skinned black person. That's what it is. That's how it is. Anyway, in that experience, like I said, I've had situations like that where they always turn it around and becomes a race issue, even though no one said anything about race in that conversation. The issue was lesbians. That's what the issue was. But it became about black people, because why it became about black people was because they feel they have something over lighter skinned black people. They feel they have something over people who they don't really see as the same as them. And that's why, for me, in my perspective, it's always been like, I, after that experience, understood my position in life. And that was not to associate with black people like that. You guys always act like, oh, you don't want to associate with black people because you don't like being black. Like, you want to stay away from black people because you just don't like the blackness inside yourself. No, that's not it. In fact, I always wanted to be accepted by black people, but no, that doesn't seem to be the case. The only thing you want to accept me in is suffering with you, but it's not in actually accepting me, not embracing me, not even just leaving me alone. If we have an argument, it doesn't have to come up to me being lighter than you and looking less black than you. But no, it always has to come back to that, doesn't it? Because that's your strength. Your strength is using the fact that you're black against other people, including lighter skinned black people. And to me, it's just like, I don't have time for your bullshit, okay? From my perspective, it's like this. In my life, when I talk about race and things of that nature, the ones who treated me differently were the black people, not the white people. White people left me alone. No, white people did not say, oh, she's white. No, obviously not. But white people left me the fuck alone. While black people, if I ever tried to associate with them, would compartmentalize me as something different racially. Something different also experience-wise. You guys say that you're so accepting of black people, but you can't even accept your own dark-skinned black people. That's what's so funny about this whole thing. You can't even accept people who you claim act differently than how you want them to act, basically, that are dark-skinned and unambiguous black people. Yet you say you're so accepting. You're not accepting at all. You know, you're judgmental of black people nonstop. You're racist against black people nonstop. And you're self-hating against black people nonstop. I think black people are honestly toxic. Dark-skinned black people are honestly toxic. And this isn't all of them.